happy new month. It's your girl Blessing RAJI. A parent who single-handedly nurtures a child is known as single parent. In our society today, there's this certain stereotype as to how single parents are being looked at. And this brings us to our discussion today on Relationship Gist on VOS TV, Single Parent. And I won't be doing this alone, as I have with me in the studio a guest who together will be doing this. But before I introduce my guest to you, let's hit the streets to hear what people has to say.
Can you marry a single mother?
By single mother, you mean a woman that has a child? Okay, I can marry a single mother, but it depends. If the marriage, her marriage with her husband is terminated already, legally, then I can marry a single mother. And also, it depends on her character, actually. Also, if she's a good woman, she's legally divorced. Why not? I can marry a single mother. No, not at all. Not at all. You're welcome.
Well, it depends on how we see ourselves. My understanding about marriage also differ. A woman I love, a woman I feel like if she might have made her mistakes, I might also want to marry her. It depends on what the circumstances I'm meeting her for and what I believe is marriage.
Yes, I can marry a single father. Yes, based on the kind of love he will show to me. I know it's not easy to marry a single parent like a single father. It's not easy because the man can have the love will not be equal. As in maybe he will have, the love can never be equal. There will be a love that he will have for his child and the love that he will still have for the wife. But the wife has to, if the woman wants to stay in the marriage, that the marriage will be last, is based on the woman to understand the man and to take the child as her own.
This godmother, if he good, I'll marry him. If he character good, I'll marry him. Maybe the man will marry him a bad man. If he reach my hand, he go good. So that's so still be for man wave don't fair born. So now one. So not today.
Thanks for sticking around. Like I told you earlier, that we have a guest in the studio who together will be discussing this single parenting together and also the impact and also the stigma involved in all of this. And this, my guest, is none other than Solomon Idiogbe. Good to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
Okay, talking about this single parenting, I can imagine you being a single father. The workload of two people is now just one person. So if it were to be the other way around, two people doing one thing together, when a father flips on the other side, the wife picks up. So in your own side now, it's the flip side. Now that you are the only one doing the whole thing, I would like to say that, how is single parenting so far? How has single parenting been so far?
Single parenting in Nigeria, it's not a normal.
Okay.
Because for what I know, the Nigeria African nature is an extremely extended family life.
Okay.
It's a communal setting where not just, the white man life is just a nuclear family, father, mother, kids. But normal Nigerian African setting, it's extended family nature. Father, mother, brother, cousins, nieces, uncles, most often living in what's referred to as kindredship.
Okay.
So having to be a single parent is not really a too good thing, because you are depriving your child of certain things.
Okay.
You as a father may not be able to nurture your child in all aspects. For God, I'm making two hands and two legs wasn't a mistake. Because he knows that when this one washes this, the other one washes the other, it gets clean. So for single parenting, especially if you're a man and you're going to take care of a female child. It's, you know that it's not really going to be easy because there are certain how do I put, certain things that you actually cannot understand too well. It's easier when, as a father, you are nurturing a male child.
Okay.
I use myself as an example. I grew up with my mom.
Okay.
My father and mother had 2 children. Another one with myself, who later passed. But they were not together because mine was a polygamous home. My father had 3 wives. And my mom wasn't comfortable having her only child living in a polygamous home.
In a polygamous home.
You understand the African nature. So
with that kind of upbringing, how has it affected you?
I'm going there.
Okay.
That it's really not, or wasn't very heady thing.
Okay.
I'm able to tell you that until I grew up to almost trying out my secondary school, I was never allowed to have to stay with my father. I lost two or more years, 2-3 years of my primary school age to infighting. Okay. My mom would put me at Fabi Akpata as it then was. My dad would come and steal me using football as it was, take me to Ulua Primary School, and then maybe in the evenings my mom would come maybe after 2 days, spying around my father's house, and then whispers, and I run. You know, kids are usually very close to their mom.
Exactly.
And so for that period, I may not go to school again because my mom or my dad is conscious of the fact that either of them is coming to pick me, steal me from school. And it really affected my education, as it were. And then upbringing. Anything you do, your mom takes it out, takes your father's action out on you. You know, and I'm talking experiential life, that it wasn't really pleasant. Sometimes you get angry. You are talking and you are making references to your father's actions and all that. So it wasn't really very nice. But you know, as I grew up later, and in fact, let me also say this, that most times when people are discussing their family, especially my dad and my mom, and you really don't have a story to tell. You are cut out. You are let out. You won't be able to make any meaningful contribution because you don't have that experience. You only have a one-sided experience. I'm saying it as relatable to a child living with their father, you know, or with his father. Then you won't have the feel of your mom until I grew up to a stage and thought that I can't live like that. I started trying to look for although we periodically I go look for my father, but that's scheduled. But later I started making unscheduled visits, and you know, the relationship started growing. Siblings came looking for me and all that. So at that point I could take certain steps, but it wasn't really easy.
So with what you've said so far, it wasn't easy and all of that. So would you say if you grew up with your mom
and my dad
and your dad
living under the same
under the same roof, it's going to be a different scenario now?
Yes, because they will teach you together things. You will also learn things together. Let me tell you, impact. If you have a lovely family together, like you have a father and mother living together, having a very wonderful relationship, growing up children learn from their parents. If you have a battering father, for instance, you have a father who is a non-smoker and a non-drunk, you are likely to also bring up a child that is a non-smoker and a non-drunk.
Okay.
You understand? 2, you're also very likely to bring up a child who is a non-violent child. But if you have a violent father and there's this infighting every day, very most likely your son is going to copy from you that beats up the it's the way out. And for some, if he's very close to the mom, hates the father as a result of the action. So there's an advantage, there's a disadvantage. But
so which do you think is more?
No, it's better when you have the 2 family together. Okay. You know, because you're going to learn different things. Okay. But when you have, for instance, as I was growing up, I discovered when I started getting very close to my dad that now all the stories I had about my father were actually not true.
Wow. So in most cases...
Because if you ask me now, I'll tell you, before my father passed, we were best of friends. Wow. He was like my best friend. Okay. Ditto my mom. A few days ago, I just had a reflection of how much I miss my mom. You understand? Yeah, but the point I'm making is that the stories sometimes you are told about the other half may necessarily not be the true story. Sometimes we have scenarios where mothers tell their wards that their fathers are dead, whereas they are alive, owing to the squabbles or the infighting they have. Doesn't want the child to be close to the father at any point. It happens to ditto the father. Sometimes the father tells the mom and tells the child that your mother died several years ago. Some died while they were giving birth to you, or some died in an accident, whereas their mom is alive, owing to the quarrels they had that led to their separations. And so you have imbibed a wrong thinking, perception to the child, and sometimes he grows up to realize that the father had lied or the mom had lied, and then there's this trauma associated with it. It's not really a beautiful thing. But for me, sometimes it's not also the faults of either of the parents. Sometimes some marriages are not just compatible. So there could be a fallout. But all I would advocate is that the child should not be at the receiving end. Sometimes you see father taking mothers to court over ownership or take possession of the child, vice versa. The woman taking a man to court over issue of possessions and all that, and the child is at the receiving end. He sees a lot of, or she sees a lot of this, and it forms a picture in the mind of this child, and he grows up with it. It's like a child battered, molested at a young age. There is a picture, there's an image, there's a scene, built in the mind of these kids. It takes time to wear off. Let me tell you, most of the things you knew as a child reflects in your mind even today. It's easy to flash back on those childhood antecedents or experience than the ones that happened a year or two ago, because the picture of your childhood built in and is stored in your memory.
Keeps reflecting every day. Okay, in our society, there's this belief that women that leave their husband, or fathers as well, that stay on their own, that most especially women that leave their home or their marriage, that they are prostitutes, they don't want to be submissive, and different speculations. So I would like you to tell us, why do you think single parenting is coming up now? What usually leads to that?
It may not be totally correct to think or say that women who leave their matrimony are prostitutes. Some are not prostitutes. Some as a result of domestic violence. Some husbands are not just disciplined. Some husbands are not just matured. Some are mommy's men, or if you like, mommy's child. No, without fears. And some women too don't grow up. They never grow up. They listen to their mothers even while in marriage, and it has an effect on
after effects.
Yes, on the matrimony. So it's not a one fit all scenario. It's a complex thing. So you can't use a one fit all scenario to say there are some women who are very wonderful, so submissive, adorable, but their marriages don't work. You understand? So that your marriage doesn't work cannot be attributed to the fact that the man or the woman has a bad attitude. Sometimes some marriages are not just meant to work.
And that brings about...
So on the issue of how it affects the child, there is sometimes a child that a single parent brings up can do very wonderfully well. Let me also tell you that this generation we have now, those coupled marriages you are having, sorry, I'm using the word coupled marriages. When I say coupled marriages, miss cut and made marriages you are having, now where the father is competing with something and the mom is competing with the father, and then they don't even have, it's almost the same thing as having a single parent.
Oh.
Parents these days don't even have time for their works. The mom works in the bank, comes home late, the father works elsewhere, and then sometimes doesn't even live with the family, works outside, they call it house station and all that, and then it goes back to having the same, in quote, single parenting. So the point I'm trying to say is that you don't just look at it from all one angle. If husband and a wife lives together, may not necessarily guarantee bringing up the best child. There's a situation where a father and a mother lives in the same house, and they don't come home until 10 or 9 p.m. The affairs of the wards are left in the hands of a nanny or a school teacher.
Yeah, I was about.
It's the same as though the child doesn't even have
them.
So that's why I say that we are really drifted from the real African culture.
I was about going there because we have situations whereby they say that they judge children based on their upbringing. They'll say that because you are a product of your mom, maybe single parenting and all of that, and that affected your way of life. And also, we are also forgetting the fact that there are some people that they grew with their mom and their dad together like that, and it's also because about what you said, they don't also have time for their kids, and with that the children end up being something else. And with all of this, we'll have to say that even for the fact, and that is why the baby mama of the thing is coming up now, because most people, they feel that, because even in some homes you find out that the mother is doing what the man is doing. The men, as in the father figure that they call themselves, their impact is not really felt in that home. Now, what would you say is bringing about all of this?
Baby mama and less father figure. See, a lot of factors are contributing. Let me tell you, the real African nature, it's not this baby mama thing. The real African nature, it's culture. African and Nigeria, for instance, is a cultural place. They believe in traditions, in family units, family life. They believe in names. While we're growing up, a man then not go and marry. At least you grow up to meet that without doing what is referred to as surveillance or questioning. They want to know the family background. I remember then they used to say, no, they are from a mad family. It's in their bloodstream. Say, oh no, they have criminal elements in their family. You understand? But you know, westernization has swept a lot of things now, and people no longer do a lot of that. Peter and Paul could just meet in Lagos, and then they couldn't even do prosy marriage. African nature, there's nothing like prosy marriage. The man comes to the family, they know him or they know her, and then they do findings, like the biblical life, where Abraham needed to go get married for his son. So that's how it is. So the issue of baby mama, personally, I do not think it's an African nature and that it should be encouraged. Many factors are responsible. Sometimes you get into a marriage and it's not what you saw outside. Marriage, of course, naturally, is a place besieged. Those in are looking for a way out, and those out are looking for a way in. Because the perception is totally different. I've seen marriages after 6 months they break up. Celebrated marriages, of course. You know, because the life outside as fiancé and fiancée, boyfriend and girlfriend as it's called, is usually totally different from matrimony. I'll tell you what matrimony is. Matrimony is savoring your total independence as a man or a woman to your spouse. So you can't take a decision on your own. It has to be collective. And the modern day culture, we know too much, and so we like to enforce our independence. In fact, a few weeks ago, a lawyer friend of ours were talking, and he said, you know why lawyers really don't marry co-lawyers because she knows too much. And what I know, she knows. And then they don't know that it actually does not work in the African setting. I tell you, the Western mentality is a man cannot forcefully ask for sex from his spouse.
Yeah.
When you do that, you have committed an offense. It's tantamount to rape.
Rape. Yeah.
But the African mentality feels like the man is the overlord and the overall. He's paid and is delivered, right. So he can do whatever he wants. You understand?
Yeah.
And of course, it leads to so many. There are so many unhealthy practices in the African culture, too. But the point I'm trying to make is that the baby in mama thing should not be encouraged, because in the end, they're going to have baked. See, societies are usually built on a family unit, beautiful family units. If you have a beautiful family, well, I'm not talking about physical beauty, I'm talking about intellectual growth. You understand? Understanding what the society wants from you. Those days there used to be tests by moonlight, the father, the mother, the children sit together, they discuss, stories are told, moral lessons are learned from the stories. Then they remind you that we have a family name that you must protect. In fact, did you see what happened during the NSAS, one ugly side of it? Protest. Where women came out to say, leave our sons. Yahoo is a good business, is paying. I saw them, I saw some videos on social media.
So in that angle now, what are we trying to get?
The wrong society, single parenting, wrong upbringing, inability. The father gives you an advice, the mother gives you an advice. They create a balance. It's a mixture of milk, sugar, and tea to produce a teacup.
But there are still
when you have it, a total milk cup, you are drinking milk. When you have it total tea without milk and sugar, it's just you are drinking chocolate.
But there are still some homes whereby the impact of the man is not even felt. There
are some where the wives are usually the father. Like mine, my mom was my father and my mother. And that's you dare not make mistakes. She takes it out all on you. You understand? But you know, when I'm making these days, we are not Indomie generation. I'm not a part of the Indomie generation. I trekked to school. You know, I grew up. You won't believe when they are in the kitchen. My mom made me stay in the kitchen.
That's a good one.
I had another sister. She says she knows what to do, but you must learn how to cook. You must know how it is done. So, but mine is just, you know, one of very many. I learned very many things from my mom. Obviously, too, that perhaps I would have also learned from my dad. But the unhealthy area was that I was cut off from my paternal side for a very long time, for the fears of not wanting to offend my mom, who was doing everything to make sure I get everything that I needed, and yet to respect her, you know, and show love, until it got to a time I could take certain decisions for myself. And I discovered later that part of the stories that were said about him were actually not totally true, because of the relationship. So going back to living together as a family is the best unit, where the father and the mother have a mixture, you know, to discuss. They share love. He feels the love, he feels the warmth. Sometimes the father shouts at you, you have your mom to cuddle with. Your mom does a thing, you have your father to shield you. Sometimes, you know, the female children are usually very glued to their father much more than their mother. You know, you have that balance. But when it's one-sided, you start feeling, if I wish, you know, when you hear your parents talk about how your father took them out, did this, and then maybe because it's a single mom, you know, begins to feel like, I wish I had a father, I wish my father was there. It's a torment.
Yeah.
It may not bring, or she may not bring it out at that point, but it's molding a psychology.
What if in a case, what if we have this case whereby your dad or your mom, maybe the marriage becomes toxic, domestic violence, and so many things is happening. So in that case, are you going to still say that they should still she should still endure that home because of the unity and all of that?
I will not
or maybe
be part
case of
any marriage that is violence, having domestic violence, brutality, or element of incompatibility.
Okay.
You don't die in a matrimony because you don't want to be laughed at. My position, my view. You understand? You see, your Christian life, you don't have a right to divorce. You're married for better for us. Don't die in there. If that's the reason why you are a baby mama, it's understandable. But the point I'm making is that these days, a lot of young girls don't want to be married. They want to be called baby mama. Just want to be single parent. They don't want to be controlled, in quotes. They don't want to be talked to. And I don't feel they under that man where they give me story. I beg. I don't just fit. You understand the point I'm making? If that is it, that is not. It's totally alien to African nature. It's un-African, and it's unknown to our cultures and traditions. But if it's as a result of course, we have had cases even in the old where men marry and it doesn't work out, and then she leaves, the man leaves, marries another man. And, so, but
it won't be fair to say that they don't want to be controlled.
Sometimes it's the intent. Let me tell you, a lot of girls these days. I saw on social media a few days ago, girls exchanging bottles of different brands of alcohol. It's just spirits, not just if it's alcohol. You're trying to say it's mine. Spirits of high percentage of volume, and then that's the lie. They feel high, and she doesn't want to be talked to. She feels like there was a story I read online a few days ago of daughters of the elites, in a small closet with some elites, some wealthy men who goes to their campuses to pick them up, and then they are taking different types of drugs, to get high. A less than 22-year-old girl telling about 50-year-old man how horny she is and what are you going to do about it and all that. But the point I'm making is that that's the generation we're getting into. You see, locking your child in as a father and a mother, there are some who they make money. They think that when you lock the child in, no male child comes in to see her. That's when you are safeguarding. It doesn't work that way. Parenting is about show of love. It's about show of concern. It's about empathy, not sympathy.
It's not enough to say you are a father.
It's not enough to say I'm a mother or I'm a father when you don't know. There are mothers who don't even know when their child have their first menstrual cycle. There are parents who don't even know when their son had their first wet dream. And you say you are a parent. How are you a parent? Parenting goes beyond bringing a child to the world. It's about being there, not letting your world learn from their parents. They should learn from you. In Africa, we don't talk about sex education because we feel, but they should learn from you. That's the only way you can bring up a child. And when you allow your words learn from their parents, they will learn their words with words. You understand? And they will learn waywardness. So, point being made here is that being a parent is beyond bringing up a child with chocolates, biscuits, indomie, and ice cream.
Yeah, those petty things.
Because the Bible says, spare the rod and spoil the child. So you must be able to fit in, be the friend, build trust, show love, and be empathetic with your child. Feels with your child what he or she feels at a particular point. And when you're able to build trust with your word, you build a better world for the society.
Wow.
But I'm afraid to say that the generation we are in, we're far from it.
Okay, that's a lovely one there. Please, final words to people out there who view single parents as some time away. Final words to people out there who sees them as a kind of bad people, bad omen, they've done something, and all of that. Final words to people out there.
It's not all bad. I told you just now. Single parenting has a bad side, has a good side. If my sister is in a matrimony where she's being battered and brutalized every day, I'd encourage her to quit the marriage. I'm telling you, Solomon Idogbe says so. You understand? I will encourage her to quit the marriage. And does that not make her a bad person? No. Then, 2, if you know what is good, do it, because he that knoweth what is good and doeth it, the Bible says to him is a sin.
Yeah.
So if you are a single parent out there, all is not lost. It's not like it's a bad word. Circumstances leads to a lot of things.
All of those.
All you need to do as a parent and you have a child, whether a male or a female, you must reach out to your child. Your child's welfare must be the primary thing in your mind. Yes, hustling, getting money, yes, but bringing up a good child for the society. Because if you bring up a bad child, you are breeding a bad society already.
Yeah. So
when you breed a good child for society, you have put your name in good. So what I'm saying is that you must show love. You must be a parent. As a mother, you must be a mother and a father. As a father, you must be a father and a mother. You must be empathetic and not sympathetic with your child. You must show love. Don't put all out what the father has done on the child or what the mother has done on the child. You must relate and let the child know that he or she is not alone in the world.
Okay, thank you very much for making our time to be on the show. I must say you really dealt with this topic of ours today, single parenting. Thank you for coming.
Thank you so much.
Okay, you've been watching Relationship Gist on VOS TV, and we've been discussing single parenting. So I will end our discussion on this note. Don't judge a child based on the upbringing of that child. And also, please do well to share with us in our comment section below what you feel about single parenting, its impact, and also the stigma and how people see the whole thing. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and turn on your notification bell for more of this. Until we come your way again next week,